Hello everyone, welcome to Cooking with Carlson Day 79?
77, I think.
Oh, okay. Today we're going to make strawberry pie, which sounds a lot like strawberry shortcake, which we already made.
But this strawberry pie is a traditional recipe. It kind of resembles the big boy strawberry pie, if you're familiar with that. But what we're going to do today is first start by making the filling.
What is that?
Big Boy is a restaurant.
Oh!
Okay, so you're going to start with 2 cups of water in a saucepan. We're going to add 2 cups of sugar to that, and then we're going to get that boiling. Okay, so just 2 cups of sugar, 1 to 2 cups of water. That's a lot of sugar. Okay, just give that a quick stir as that starts to boil. Meanwhile, you're going to want to get 1 cup of water in another measuring cup. We're going to add 6 tablespoons of cornstarch to that water. This is what's going to thicken up our strawberry filling. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so you're going to want to stir that together too, and we'll just let this sit aside until our sugar water is boiling. When the sugar water starts boiling, then we'll add in our cornstarch and let that thicken. Okay, so just stir that up until you can't feel the cornstarch anymore and set that aside. All right. Meanwhile, for this recipe, you're also going to need 1 large strawberry jello or 2 small packets of strawberry jello. And then about 2 quarts of strawberries. We are going to slice these strawberries up, but this is about 2 quarts of strawberries. Those are fresh strawberries, not frozen ones. You could put frozen strawberries in, but the fresh ones are going to taste much better. Okay, so while this is boiling, we're going to get our pie crust put together. So to do that, we need 3/4 of a cup of Crisco. We use these Crisco baking sticks. There are measurements on the side. Just look for 3/4 of a cup of the Crisco. Put that into a bowl. This is going to make 2 pies. Okay, so the crust that we're going to make is actually just going to make 2 crusts, 2 bottom crusts. You don't need a top crust for this. Okay, and then we're going to add 2 1/4 cups of flour to the Crisco. 1, 2, and 1/4. Okay, then what you're going to need to do is take a fork and combine the Crisco and the flour until it's semi-crumbly. So again, if you had like a pastry cutter, you could use that. I don't, so I just use a fork to kind of crumble up the Crisco with the flour. Just tap it back and forth, running the Crisco through the prongs of the fork. All right. So you'll just continue doing this while your sugar water is boiling. The last thing that we'll add to this pie crust is 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of water. So once you have all of your Crisco just kind of crumbled up within your flour, you'll add those other 2 ingredients, and then we're going to mix it with our hands. What your flour and Crisco will look like, we're just going to add in 1/4 cup of water and 1/4 cup of salt, and then mix this with our hands. Add your 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then be careful not to overmix. You just want to mix this up with your hand until it is dough colors to it. Now we'll roll this out into 2 pie crusts. So I've got 2 different pie plates here, this glass one and then just a regular tin pie plate. So I haven't divided my pie crust equally. I put a little bit more in this one because this is a bigger pie plate, and then so I've got like 1/3 to 2/3 of dough here. We're going to spray our pie plate, whatever you have, and then we'll roll each of these out and then just put it in the pie plate. You'll want your oven set to 425 degrees to cook this pie crust. Okay, our sugar water is boiling, still rolling out pie crust. We're going to add in our cornstarch water to this. And we'll just let this thicken up a little bit. This will take a couple of minutes to get thick. When it gets thick, we'll add in the jello. When you're rolling out your pie crust, you might find that some of it gets stuck to your rolling pin. You can just press it back in with your hands. Remember, you'll be pressing this in the bottom of your pie plate so it doesn't have to look fancy. Once you transfer this into the pie plate, just kind of mold it with your hands where it needs to fit. And then we're going to pierce the bottom of this and the sides with a fork before we bake it. The pie crust will bake for about 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, just make sure you keep stirring your cornstarch water until it gets thick. It's already starting to thicken. You can see that. We're going to add in our jello. Once this gets thick completely, we're going to put it in the refrigerator while our pie crust bakes, just so it cools a little bit. So we're not adding in the strawberries yet. We're going to add our jello. When it gets thick, as you'd like it to be, transfer it to the refrigerator and then let it cool. So you'll take a fork and just pierce the bottom and sides of each of the pie crusts. Our strawberry filling is ready to go into the refrigerator to cool while our pie crust bakes. So you'll put that in at 425 for 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, so our pie crust have baked. I baked this for about 10 minutes. Just pull it out when it starts to just slightly get brown. You don't want it to be too brown. I also went ahead and sliced up our strawberries. You want to slice them so they're long way, I guess is the best way to describe that. So slice up our strawberries. We've had our jello mixture cooling in the refrigerator. I would say it's been in there for 25 minutes or so. You want to mix your strawberries with this before the jello sets completely, but you want it to be thick, a little bit cooled off before you add it to your strawberries. All right, so we're just going to mix this together. And then we'll pour it into our pie to let it set completely. Nice. Let this set up. And then this is delicious with homemade whipped cream. We made homemade whipped cream in our strawberry shortcake video. So if you want to know how to make homemade whipped cream, check out that video a couple days back. All right, so you just pour this in your pie pans, let it set up. After a couple of hours in the refrigerator, this is all set up and the pie is ready to eat.